doesn't matter how many times we come here, I get a buzz, I get a rush every single time, because at the end of the day, after 2,000 years, this is where we've returned to. We have our sovereignty, we have our freedom, we have our democracy. This place over here is where we make our decisions. It's where we control our own destinies.
Jeg synes det er viktig å påpeke de tingene man er imot, men samtidig så tror jeg vi har en viktig oppgave i akkurat denne konflikten ved å belyse positive aspekter som kanskje ikke har kommet til lys godt nok i Norge, i media, i politikken, i vanlige samtaler mellom vanlige folk. Vi som har vært representanter på denne turen har kanskje en plikt til å føre positiv dialog med folk og prøve å få en ærligst mulig samtale med nyanser.
This place is a symbol for freedom, and this is why soldiers come here year after year for their pledge. So basically in the year of 70 AD, the Jewish rebellion is over. The temple is being destroyed in Jerusalem. There is hardly any more Jewish fighters anywhere in Israel, but this place is still standing for another 3 years until 73 AD. The Roman soldiers, they have to finish it. They bring here a whole legion of the Roman army to conquer the mountain and to finish the rebellion. They really wanted to prove a point here. This is the last place where Jewish people were still like fighting during this rebellion.
But after the State of Israel established in 1948, Ben-Gurion, the Prime Minister, he said, well, now we're going to drop everything, we're going to join together to have one army, the IDF, and from now on we're going to have the same uniform, the same guns, the same method, the same system. We're going to be one army. And of course people at that time understood and supported. You wanted to be connected. So at that operation they didn't manage to catch the ridges at the end, and the Arabs were sitting on the ridges, and if at that time you tried to go on the road, you got shot by snipers. Arab snipers.
How many people lived in Tel Aviv at the time?
At that time, around 100 to 200,000 people. Okay. So later on, Ben-Gurion understood that we must conquer, we must take over this latrun, this junction, in order to open the road number 1, to connect Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
Supplies from the coastal plain. Time after time, convoys of food and ammunition set out.
Det var første gang det hadde muligheten til å kjempe, liksom å ta. Nå hadde det blitt underkue hele krigen der oppe, og vært offer. Du hadde noen eksempler med opprør i Warszawa, ja, sånne ting, men her hadde det endelig mulighet til våpen, og endelig, ja, kjempe for et land, så de etter 2000 år ikke hadde hatt. Nei, det var ideer fra israelske soldater. De var jo på en måte, de færreste var jo soldater. De fleste var jo egentlig nyankomne flyktninger fra Europa som var trøtte og slitne. De egentlig bare ville starte et nytt liv. Det første de må gjøre det liksom å slåss for livet igjen.
Also before, but yeah. You have questions? You want to know something?
How long is the service?
2 years. Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 20. Yes.
Tidlig i 20-åra. Hun var vel 20 år hun ene. Og det var interessant å høre hvordan de så på tjenesten, og hvordan de så på den før de gikk inn i den, og de sa jo det var veldig sånn meningsfullt, det de holdt på med. Og etter det så skulle de videre på høyere utdanning og så videre. Men nå var de nettopp ferdig med videregående. Og så fikk jeg lagt til ene på Facebook, og det var jo veldig kjekt. Det er bare en katt. Hvordan du?
And on the right side you will see in a minute the Dead Sea. Now we are going to make a stop for about 1 hour in one of the beaches.
Happiness wouldn't have mattered if the days were always bright. We would want them darker if everything was fun. We would want it harder, and if the road wasn't long, we would start to wonder as the green fields got me down. I like to lie dim and look around. The clouds on my side, they help me cool my mind.
Nå vi i Saknin, et område nord i Israel, der jødene i minoritet.
If you give the area to the Palestinian, then it's more hard to defend yourself in a war, isn't it?
I don't think so. Everyone is different.
Yeah?
Everyone is different.
Yeah.
So you live with the one that is similar to you.
Yeah.
We are living here together, both Arabs and Jews. So we learn to live together.
My family came from Iraq. They are Kurdish that live in Iraq. They came with nothing. They left everything behind them and just left, came to Israel. About maybe between 500,000 to 1 million Jewish. It's not something special. It's common to many young people in my generation. Israel, it's like a melting pot between people that came all over the world with nothing, and just with work hard, they just built a new society, a strong society, good economic.
What we do over here, what we are trying to do, is learning to live peacefully and collaborate with our neighboring towns.
We try to plan so that the people that come into our zone and immigrate into Misgav have the infrastructure that they need. So far, we've been successful in doing it.
How is the cooperation between you two regional councils?
We do not live alone in this. We do not live in a bubble, saying, well, this is our borders, we don't care whatever around our borders. We do care.
Du for en palestinsk stat, så vil mange israelere være helt enige med det. Men du har altså disse dominante kreftene som ønsker splittelse, og vel, du har enkelte aspekter som gjør hele konflikten vanskeligere. Men mennesket er menneske og ønsker innerst inne fred for sine barn.
About 40 odd years out of having a peace agreement with Israel at this point, the borders, well, you're looking at them right now. It's very clear where there's a border between regions, right? You've got the Galilee over here, the Golan Heights over here. Israel's gonna bomb various different points of this diversion plan, both out of protest and to prevent it from happening. And that's going to lead up and be part of the tension that builds until 1967, until the Six-Day War. In the Six-Day War, Israel is going to, of course, be attacked.
Vi vet også at historisk har hele 5 nasjoner angrepet samtidig, og at de har hatt oddsen på sin side og ønsker en utslettelse av nasjonen. Men mot de oddsene så har Israel klart å vinne. Og det her har skjedd flere ganger at de har blitt angrepet fra naboland. Så det er ingen grunn til å tro at den trusselen ikke er reell. Jeg sier ikke at det kommer til å skje igjen, men trusselen er der. Og det her vil jo definitivt påvirke mentaliteten til den israelske befolkningen, som hele tiden lever under denne trusselen.
The Jordan River is going up and down until the Dead Sea. And the border between the two sides is here down. The middle of Jordan River is the border between Jordan and Israel. We have a lot of programs between the two sides. At the moment we have peace, why we have to be here, and why we have to secure it, and why we have to keep it. Otherwise, you can switch off the lights in Tel Aviv. This is the only place in Israel which you can keep the east side. But peace is peace, and we decided at the same time to leave most of the strong points. They are empty at the moment.
How many soldiers are stationed around the valley? Israeli soldiers?
At the year, it was 2 brigades. You can see the strong points of the Jordanians. Here you have it, in the front. We have, you see over there the buildings? There is a strong point of the Legion. Over there you have another one, and they are keeping. And we are standing in place which was terrible few years ago. Now, simply nice. Time is coming, we have peace.
As you guys hear and as you can see in the distance, sometimes the booms and the smoke clouds that are riding, 15 kilometers from here in Dara, there's a civil war going on. We talked a lot about Israeli warfare in the past. I wanted to bring this into what's going on today. 2011 in Tunis, you guys are familiar with the rise of the Arab Spring, right? The people start taking to the streets, demanding their rights, demanding for a change of government, and they topple the Tunisian government. And when it gets to Syria, in March 2013, the conditions are going to be set. 160,000 people in the last 2 weeks have been forced to flee their homes. Okay, this is crazy. This is what's going on here. That means it's spilling out over into Israel every once in a while, stray shells and things like that. But there's also a refugee problem, right? 5.5 million Syrians are declared refugees. They make their way to the border.
Da vi på vei inn til Palestinian Media Watch. De overvåker palestinsk medievirksomhet og ja, holder øye med det.
How do you take people who are regular people and convince them?
This is today?
Yeah, we did a report 6 months ago. There are right now 31, at least 31 schools named after terrorists. There are another 45 named after martyrs in general. And there are 3 schools named after Nazi collaborators. Suicide bomber who went into a Passover Seder celebration, a dinner at a hotel, blew himself up and he killed 31 Israelis. It was the most number of Israelis killed in any single attack, and that's who the Palestinian Ministry of Education chose to name the football tournament after. Each of the teams in the tournament were named after different terrorists, including suicide terrorists.
Sderot is within 15 seconds of rocket range from Gaza. This is incredibly challenging to live a normal life when at any moment you have 15 seconds to run for shelter, and it's forced the residents of Sderot to think of creative solutions for how they live their day-to-day life. This caterpillar in the children's playground is not merely a caterpillar for them to climb on and have fun with, it's actually a reinforced concrete caterpillar. It's a bomb shelter.
People have heard so much about it, but never heard how it really works.
Right. So I was only there for a week, but imagine what that is. I went off to the States for a wedding. For 3 weeks, I came back and there's still a war going on, and there's still, I still could join up with my unit in reserves and serve. That's crazy. That's really a lot. That's a lot of time. When should Israel go to war over rockets? How many rockets does it take for Israel to say, you know what, enough is enough. We are now going into Gaza. An air attack followed by a ground entry. Air attacks are relatively common in retaliation, but when do you decide, okay, we're doing a ground entry, we're putting our soldiers' lives in danger? I think the numbers are in Protective Edge, there were about 6 people who were killed by rocket attacks. So if you look at it, you could say, okay, this is, this is something that you could live with on a day-to-day basis. But you also have to consider the fact that even though rockets might not be fatal, they are severely disturbing life.
On one hand, this is a terror entity, and on the other hand, it's people who live in Gaza that are in a very difficult situation. I'm Grisha Yakubovich, a retired colonel from the IDF. I served at Kogat for 27 years. It's the coordination of government activities in the territories. And today I'm a consultant to the Israeli-Palestinian relations. The resources to Gaza are coming either from the Palestinian Authority, either directly from by an international organization that is implementing a project inside Gaza. No, not Egypt. No. Official money entering to Gaza will come only through the Israeli border.
They are closer cities.
20 kilometers?
No, we have a city about 20 kilometers away.
Excellent. What will your city do if from that city they will launch on your city 21,000 rockets?
What will we do? We hide.
Just asking. Okay, guys, let's go. There are many things that the people in Norway don't know. Okay, for example, that there are connections between Gaza and Israel. There are connections between the West Bank, Israel. There are connections between Gaza and the West Bank. We are more interested in the reality in Gaza, in what is happening there, in the economical reality, in the infrastructure reality, and we are planning how to solve the problems. But sometimes the Israelis feel that there's nobody there to support our efforts.
Det har ingenting å si. Det er et menneske, uavhengig av bakgrunnen deres, uavhengig av familien deres, uavhengig av historien til folket deres. De er fortsatt mennesker, og man må aldri glemme det. Og det tror ikke folk har glemt, selv etter den veldig dystre historikken med tanke på krig og konflikt i dette området. Og det er en bragd i seg selv. Her har man mye forskjellig å si om sakene. Der er mye uenighet her i dette landet, og det ligger også i kulturen å ha uenighet.
To see how the left in the world is looking at Israel, because Israel is 100% on board with gay rights, minority rights, welfare, you know, things like that. So it seems very strange for us that everything that the left holds holy or sacred, Israel has, and yet it's being treated the way it is, you know, like it's some terrible monster.
I have some friends that every morning they read newspapers, and they read a few Israeli newspapers because they know that each one would tell a story different. Yeah. We have a very right newspaper that would present one image specifically, and a very left newspaper that would present something differently. And this is even a point that I'm trying to make, that even in Israel we have left and right towards the conflict itself. It means that even we don't agree a lot of things, so it's really hard to know that other people are debating the same things that we do.
Hi, my name is Arsene Ostrovsky. I'm the Executive Director of the Israeli Jewish Congress. It's really a great privilege to welcome our friends from MIFF here again, here at the Knesset, the heart and soul of our democracy, and it's even greater honor to welcome friends from overseas and share this experience. So let's go to the Knesset.
There are around 30 parties that run every time, even though we only have 10 parties now in the Knesset.
How young is the youngest member of Knesset?
I think 31.
Wow.
Israel has an ethos of young adults revolutionary movements. So there is a very strong civil society. But in our generation, it's becoming dangerously large.
First of all, learn the situation, make your own research. Say what you want to say. I mean, it's a democratic world, but at least understand the situation.
There is nothing that we can do right now that will resolve the Israeli-Arab conflict, and I wish that more and more European and other leaders, international leaders, would understand that. We want peace more than anyone else.
The state of Israel is not just another state. In the history of mankind, there has never been a phenomena that compares at all to the state of Israel. Never in the history of mankind has there been a nation uprooted from its homeland and returned to its homeland. Not even after 50 years. Definitely not after 2,000 years. And here we are, returned back home after 2,000 years. We just began 70 years ago with 600,000 Jews living here in Israel, and today we're 7 million in a state with a population of 8 million. And we have made progress and we have advanced in ways that the only rational way to explain it is miracles. Moral mission to the world. We are supposed to stand out in every way as a light to the nations. We, as Jerusalemites, recognize the fact that Jerusalem is the city of Shalom, and Shalom means completeness, harmony, diversity. And the idea is that we're all part of one big puzzle. And without every piece of the puzzle is not complete. And that's the concept of Jerusalem. We demand from ourselves, and the world expects it from us. I don't know if you ever looked at a globe and tried to find Israel. You need a telescope or a magnifying glass. But there are more editorials about Israel every single day in the media, in the world, than there are about China.
So you thought that you could leave me here to die. So you thought that you could leave me far behind.
Jo jo mer man lærer om det, jo mer forstår man at det er ingen enkel løsning. Det er ikke et enkelt svar på konflikten. Jeg mener at du kan være pro-palestinsk, men fortsatt pro-israelsk. Jeg tror du nesten må være det, skal du forholde deg sann mot saken. Standpunktet til den norske regjering er ikke noe nytt. Det er ikke noe nytt at man ønsker å ha en nokså nøytral rolle og prøve å pleie forholdet til de palestinske områdene. Man har jo en viktig rolle i bistand til palestinske autoriteter, så man ønsker ikke å provosere. Rent personlig så synes jeg at vi er litt for nøytrale. Jeg tror ikke man belønnes for en så nøytral posisjon. Man kunne tatt sterkere, tydeligere standpunkt. Og man må følge sannheten. Man kan ikke alltid bare følge, vel, politikk.
Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the world come tumbling down. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the world come tumbling down. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the world came tumbling down.
Home is where I wanna be, but I guess I'm already there. She comes home, lifted up her wings, and I guess this must be the place, and I guess that this must be the place. I can tell from the other. Did I find you? Did you find me? There was a time before we were born. If someone asks, this is where I'll be.